Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome to Elite Dangerous. He just joined me literally right there as I got a disconnect from the server. No idea what that's about. I've had two of them so far. That's disconnects and all that lot have been pretty good recently, but there was a patch update yesterday, so hopefully that's not causing any issues anywhere. So welcome to another live stream here today on Twitch, also over on YouTube as well. So hello to everyone, nice to see you all again. Raptor, nice to see you there. What are you up to? Warthog and Xbox controllers. Spot on, that's what the controllers I use. Hey there, Trey. Adam, nice to see you again. What's going on over on Twitch here? Let's make sure that's all working as it should. Bakroon and Chemical Serenity, hello. And Piranha. Good stuff. So, right, today, and Pedals, yes, Pedals with the Warthog. Today we're continuing on with Distant Worlds 2. I did have a destination plugged in, but let's have another quick look here. I think most of the destinations along the route now are actually quite a long way from each other. We'll very quickly actually switch over to the other screen here. Let's have a look. Right, so we've just left Polo Harbour, which was waypoint 5. We had a look at the Jade Ghost Stellar Remnant during the last live stream, and I haven't actually moved on yet any further from there on this account, so we're going to go all the way up to this zone right here. Plano, outside the Ocularis column, assuming that's all pronounced correct. Correct even. So there's no minor waypoints between here and there, so hopefully we'll find something interesting en route. So we're going to copy that. We're going to copy and paste that into the game. And we're starting again. There we go. Right. Quid Panic. Hello there. Hope you're doing alright. Hey there, Nutter. I did get your message over on Discord there. Sorry, I was about to reply and I got sidetracked. I'd love to join you there, but I'm live streaming over here, and I guess I could have live streamed from Colonia, couldn't I? And we could have had a look at the thing you mentioned there. So basically what that was is, let's have a look at the message and let everyone else knows what's going along. Yeah, Bloody Nutter has asked if we wanted to go along to the Death Planet, or Planet Death, near Colonia, because it only happens every so often. I think it's to do with the orbit there, in the way that the planets interact and meet with each other. Commander Starstalker, Commander Star Striker even. Hello, yes, day's going well, thank you. Hope you're going alright. I call him Mac as well. Hey there. Oh, Corpse a lot, thank you very, very much. Very kind of you. There's a message there, I can't quite read that message. For the onboard coffee maker, thank you. Coffee is always in constant supply here. Thanks a lot. Planet goes through the dwarf exclusion zone. Yeah, that would have been quite nice to see, I think. Is that happening right now at Commander Nutter, or is it set to happen in the next time frame? When would we be able to see it? Every 1 hour, 28 minutes. What system is it in? Because I can't remember where my account is parked up in Colonia. It might actually be worth us having a look. Let's see. Oh, Duchess, thank you. I appreciate that, Duchess. Thank you. Meanwhile, we'll just have a look over here. Where are we so that it's so starry, says Nelson. So we're heading towards the galactic core, and the closer we get there, the more starry it's actually going to get. Hello, Drakey. Cosmos, yes, Quid Panic. Is that the original one with Carl Sagan, or is it the newer one with... I can't remember the guy's name. Raptor, thank you. That's very kind. Thanks for that. Spot on, Stuart. We're going to cause the forums to go into meltdown later as we talk about speculation. Speculation and the future of Elite and a whole bunch of other things. So, yeah, we've got a special guest coming on later today. 7 o'clock, 7 UTC. Neil deGrasse Tyson, that's the guy. Yeah, we've got Shan from Lave Radio coming on at 7 o'clock today. We're going to be discussing, well, speculating about what's happening with the roadmap for Elite. When are we going to get it? Is there going to be one? What's happening with the future of Elite Dangerous? A whole bunch of other topics we're going to be talking about as well. And, of course, Shan is very knowledgeable and is always a real pleasure to talk with. Well, with just about anything, but especially when it comes to Elite. So do stay with us because he'll be coming along in about 45 minutes or so. What's happening in 1 hour 27 minutes? I don't know what's happening in 1 hour 27 minutes. Oh, I see. Yeah, what we mentioned earlier. So there's some planets near Colonia that have got an extremely close orbit to each other. Well, there's basically one world that goes extremely close to a neutron star. And Commander Nutter has just given us the system here. Thank you for that, Nutter. I was just wondering if I wanted to head along that way and have a look. And we may do. We may do. Let's just see roughly where that is. Hey there, Shan. Nice to see you there in chat. I was just mentioning to everyone that you'll be coming on stream in a little bit. Alright. That's not too far outside of Colonia, is it? But I've got very low jump range on my ship there. We'll do a few jumps here for the minute and then we'll see how we go. Oh, the next one is at 6:44. Right. You know what? I think I might swap accounts and quickly have a look. At least we'll have a look how far away we actually are there. So give me 2 seconds. I might swap out and we'll head towards Colonia. We might be able to get something interesting to check out. So that'll be at 2 seconds. I'm staying on screen right here. Not going anywhere. But we're just going to... ...600 light years from Colonia. Yeah, we could have multi-crewed. That was another option. Nutter. That was too obvious, wasn't it? I could have thought of that. So I'm going to log back into the same account. God, dear, we're in out here. Good idea, Nutter. I'll multi-crew into you if you're happy for that. We'll have a look straight from your ship. That's the one, Chemical. So basically, a planet orbits very close to a neutron star there, and it goes right through the exclusion zone, and it's due to go through the exclusion zone in half an hour. Dr. Grand Reefer, thank you. Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad you like the work. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Trey, yes, totally remember 30 light years. That's what I was striving to achieve on Distant Worlds 1. And here we are in Distant Worlds 2 with 60 and 70 light year plus ships. So I'm going into solo today. It doesn't make too much difference around here because obviously there's not that many players about in between all these star systems. We'll meet up with other people when we get to one of the waypoints. Let's get that Distant Worlds 2 destination and we'll multi-crew into Commander Nutter when the time comes. Right, there we go. So a planetary nebula we're heading towards. It may be a white dwarf, I can't remember. Oh, we got the wrong controls here. Let's jump out again. I didn't enable my Xbox control pad, and so we've got no... we've got the wrong controls. Colin Mack, did you hear that Thargoid attacks are escalating? Think Frontier have a story incoming, perhaps. So, yeah, I've heard that as well. Thargoid attacks near Colonia in that sort of region. So if that is true, if that is going on, then there's definitely something going on. We'll need to have you can send me a friend request, Commander Nutter, or I'll send you a friend request. I'm actually on a different account to my normal one. This is Obsidian Double Space Ant. I'm assuming you're Commander Nutter in game, yeah? Alright, let's get going for real this time. Corps are locked. I think it's very strange that Soul is permit locked. I'm not sure of the law reason for that, but I mean, it's not like you can't go there if you get a Federation. Sorry, Ant, you just remembered it's SRV only. Ah, okay. Not to worry, Commander Nutter. I don't think I'll be able to make it there in time with my other ship because I think I'm slightly outside of Colonia. And I haven't got the jump range to get that far in that amount of time. Thanks for the heads up, though. Oh, you mean why is Coal Sector permit locked? That is a different question. Coal 70 Sector. Commander Nutter, yeah, I'd like to definitely do it next time. Cold 70 Sector, why is it permit locked? So some people think that might have been originally, at least, to do with the Thargoids. They thought it was the Thargoid home sector. Guess we never really know. Colin Mack, it's all yours. I tell you, that cold sector. So you're the one responsible, now we know. So the Crate Phantom versus the Attic Explorer, yes, I definitely prefer the Phantom a lot more, much better ship all round. Except for the manoeuvrability, I guess, which I miss a little bit from the Asp Explorer. It's a little bit more mobile. Fox, hello there. How we doing, alright, Fox? 135 jumps away from Colonia, Cobra. Night, it's often possible to stream snipe me, but it isn't today as I'm not in a private group. I'm in solo today. So if you want to snipe me, you'll have to catch me on another day when I'm in a group. So. Although it might not be recommended if I'm in one of the FleetCom groups because they don't really take too kindly to that. No worries, Knight. You might not want to do it in the FleetCom PG as you'll probably get kicked out, but your choice. I won't consider myself a high-value target there, Nitek. Personally, stream sniping makes no difference to me one way or the other. It's just one of those things. I get killed all the time. There's nothing special about it. But you know, if you feel it's special or you feel you're gaining something, well, good for you, I guess. Yeah, Corpse a lot. We could, I think we're going to get disconnect here, aren't we? Corpse a lot. We could get to the Cold 70 sectors originally. I've got some old footage where we could get into Barnard's Loop from pretty much any angle or any direction. And we could get up very nice and close to the Horsehead Nebula, which I think is an absolutely stunning nebula. But unfortunately we can't get quite as close there now due to the due to the permit locks. So speculation, what's that about? Speculation in the titles. We're going to be speculating and talking about a bit of the future of Elite and a few other subjects with Shan from Lave Radio, who's coming on the stream in about 40 minutes. Before that, we're going to be doing a bit of exploration. Daniel, should you buy the Python or the crate? Really depends what you want them for. Kit, hello there. Ah, Nutter. So you've already mapped some of those systems that are permit locked now in the Horsehead Nebula. So when we finally get in there, we'll be able to see your name attached to them. I've seen your name in quite a few places actually, all over the place. Alright, we got anything interesting here? Looking for high value welds. We're not stopping for anything else at the moment. We keep going. So yeah, what do we put in the title there? Speculation, the future, content updates, and Frontier Community. That's the title for today's live stream. So Frontier Community, because Frontier have got some new live streams coming up. Frontier Extra, I think they actually start this week, 22nd, which is it's Friday, isn't it? They probably start at the same time I live stream. 3 p.m. they're starting UTC. So yeah, they'll be on before I live stream, which is pretty cool. So I'll be able to catch them. But they've not got any announcements though, unfortunately. But they're talking about stuff related to Elite Dangerous and all their other games. But these topics and a few others I'm going to be talking about a little bit later on. Am I going to LaveCon? The plan is that I will be going to LaveCon, yeah, just as long as I can fix it so that I can get there. As long as I can fit it in with the schedule, then I definitely want to go this year. It'll be my first one actually. I still haven't made it to LaveCon. Commander Devin, you're chuffed to get a mention for your Distant Worlds 2 screenshots. You actually had a really nice screenshot there. In fact, there was a load of really nice screenshots entered there, but it's a real pleasure to feature them. So I hope the connection is a little bit better today. I think last stream on Sunday we had a few frame rate issues over on Twitch where I was getting crazy frame rates like 11 frames a second. Never really managed to track down exactly what was causing it, unfortunately, but hopefully today's looking a little bit better. Let me know, both on YouTube and Twitch if you can. Hopefully we've got a nice smooth frame rate all around. Today it looks much better. Oh good, glad to hear. Works flawlessly today. Great, that's what we want to hear. That's what we want to hear. Yeah, it's also looking pretty good this end as well, so good. Always a bit of a worry when you're live streaming and you're getting all these issues and you can't really track down what's causing it because you don't know. Well, you want to give the best stream possible to all the viewers. I mean, you spend your time out each day to come along and watch my streams. If I can't deliver the best quality and getting low frame rates, it's never a particularly good feeling. I kind of feel I'm letting you all down. So it's nice to hear things are actually a bit more stable today and working nicer. I'm of course streaming through a restream today, so that may play a part in it. What's the plan for the Distant Worlds 2 community goal? So Decker, the plan for this Distant Worlds 2 community goal is at waypoint 7. They said in a couple of weeks, so I'd imagine the second week of March. So basically there was a community goal at waypoint 2, was it, or waypoint 3, where we did a load of mining and got a load of resources for construction of a station near Sagittarius A, and that's all been done. So we've got all the materials, and that particular part of the community goal was complete. But the station is going to be constructed at waypoint 7. We'll be able to dock there as soon as we arrive, and any base there at waypoint 7, Decker? So no, not yet. This is what's going to happen. The community goal that we've done already on Distant Worlds is for the construction of the base that's going to be at waypoint 7. So when we arrive there, the new station will be available and we'll be able to dock at it straight away. There will be some outfitting services available, so we'll be able to outfit our ship with mining equipment and transfer our other ships into that station. And there will be another community goal there then, which will be for the outfitting the services of that station. It will determine the level of what services that station has. What's the ultimate goal actually for the grand finale? So Tommy, you mean the grand finale of Distant Worlds itself, or for that particular community goal? Have they said anything new about the design of this station? You wonder if it would look like something new. So they haven't. I think it's... Oh, actually, they have. I think it's a Coriolis. No, not a Coriolis, but a... Oh no, what's the other type? My old brain's forgotten. It's not a Coriolis, it's not an Orbis. Yes, it's Orbis. Orbis station. Yes. It's going to be an Orbis station. Oh dear, don't get old. Or at least don't get stupid. Yeah, Orbis, that's it. Chemical. It's going to be an Orbis. Trey Ocellus. I was saying Orbis and I was thinking of Ocellus. Coriolis, Ocellus and Orbis. It's not going to be on Ocellus, but an Orbis. Question is how expensive is it going to be? How expensive is it going to be to get the ships in? Someone's saying the music needs to be turned up. How's the music for everyone else? I've got it up quite loud here. I don't really want to put it up too much higher because I think it's going to overpower everything else, but... Little Bin, hello there. That's what I thought, thank you. Trey, music's almost too loud for you. Yeah, I've got it right on the edge where I wouldn't really want it up any higher. So, cool. It can go down a bit if everyone's finding it a little bit on the loud side. Okay, thanks. Thanks. Right, what do we got here? Oh, I thought we had an Earth-like there for a second, but no, ammonia is good. We found a ringed ammonia on the previous stream, and we found a Earth-like as well, so I was quite pleased because I've been going the entirety of Distant Worlds 2 without any valuable planets here. Question is, where's that ammonia world? Perhaps it's around a gas giant. One of these? It'd be nice to find an ammonia world orbiting very close to the gas giant, wouldn't it? So 14 planets here. Shall we scan them all? Hey there, Spidey. What's my stream times? So I should have them schedule listed down on the Twitch channel page, but it's 6 o'clock UTC on Wednesdays, 4 PM UTC on Fridays, and 6 again on Sundays. Duchess, nice. Glad to see the new streams are working out for you, the new time slots here. Where is that ammonia world then? Perhaps it's... Totally not finding this. Let's just go for all the planets, yeah? Rather than one specific one. Maybe that will be easier, because the one that's left over is going to have to be the ammonia world, isn't it? There it is. There it is. Oh, another ringed one. So I found 2 ammonia worlds so far, and both of them are ringed. Should we go have a look? 2,000 light seconds. We can do that, can't we? Tom, why only Twitch only on the last stream? So I like to do some Twitch exclusive streams. One of the reasons for that is because I'm going for Twitch partnership over there, so I think that kind of helps. So Sundays generally Twitch only. So what's important about ammonia? Generally because they're quite rare and they're high value. Thanks for the link there, Chemical Serenity. Sounds like it's a nice system. And I can't read your name there, Tellurian. It's always this light green text some of these names are in, and I have trouble seeing it. So, yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad you like the videos. Thank you. Did you also see a water world on the spectrum analysis? I don't know. I'll check that again in a second. I may have missed it. Let's try not to overshoot here. It's a shame to overshoot, wouldn't it? Bressy, you know what? To be perfectly honest, I don't know what the value is for mapping an ammonia world. I know you can get multiple millions of credits now per system, though. I think one of them was like 8 million recently when I handed it in for a single system. There wasn't a lot of planets in them because I haven't been scanning any huge systems. But you know, ringed ammonia worlds, ringed Earth, like things like that, they're not just, for me at least, it's not just for the value, it's also for the appearance, because they're fairly unique looking. When do I think Frontier are going to cough up details about the future content? So we'll be talking about that a little bit further into the stream. So I've titled it, as you've probably seen, Speculation and Future Content on Frontier Extra or Frontier Community. Oh, Corpsalot, thank you very, very much. Thank you for that. So yeah, if you're now a member, do have a look over on the YouTube community page on my YouTube channel. I've got a community page there. There's some private posts there for exclusive for YouTube members. There'll be some text in there that will let you know all about some of the perks you get for being a member. So thank you for that. Very much appreciated. What's the most celestial bodies I've ever scanned in a single system? So if you mean how many have I scanned individually, I wouldn't know because I don't always scan every single planet, but if you mean what's the largest system I've seen, I think it would have been in the region of 80 to 90, but that would have been quite a long time ago. There we go. So ammonia worlds look different, quite different depending on what sort of ones you see. I tend to like the ones that are more browner than this. Like they've got lakes of chocolate or whatever it looks like from the distance, but let's just get up there and map this one. Alright, how many probes is it going to be? 6, I reckon? I reckon 6. What do you reckon? Oh, 8. Okay. I've got to be careful not to hit the rings, I guess. Set them up a little bit high there. Lakes of chocolate sounds like paradise. It does, but then again, it's ammonia-based chocolate, so don't know. I don't know if that would be paradise or not. Right, 64%, getting close there. Yeah, yuck. Ammonia-based chocolate. Doesn't even bear thinking about, does it? Let's just get around the other side here. Any thoughts on Starfield? It came to mind as Ed has moved to Bethesda. You know what? That's another topic we're going to wait for. We're going to discuss a few of these things with Shan, so I don't want to talk about it too much right now because he's coming on in 20 minutes. That's Shan from Lave Radio, and we'll be discussing that topic as well as a few others. We're going to hold out. McCaddy, you're very welcome. I've actually got some more lore videos coming up over the next few weeks, so keep an eye out for those as well. Do we know what the new starport will be called? No, we don't. I've actually seen a really quite highly upvoted Reddit thread where people were suggesting it should be called Opportunity. That would be really nice, would it? Ah, Shan, you always deliver. No worry about that. You're fine. When's the Sagittarius A station going to be built? So it's going to be built when we get to waypoint 7, which they said is a couple of weeks into February. Not February, but March. They haven't given us an exact time frame yet, but I'm imagining the second week in March. That's what, if I was going to guess, that's what I would say. Second or third week in March. Yet the rings are a pain in the backside, because they make me get close to the planet here. Now we're pulling slow around there. Kit, that's actually a good idea. I could have gone level with the rings. Probably would have made more sense, wouldn't it? There you go, we're here now. We're here now. But we're pulling away slowly. It should be called limited services, next 32,000 light years. That's not bad. Oh, you are here, I like that as well. Mad Dog, hello there. Nice to see you again. Hope everything's well. How are you doing? Alright. Trying to see which part of this planet I haven't scanned, because there's clearly a massive area I haven't scanned yet. All we need to do is get this to 90%. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Is that other probe hit yet? There it goes. Don't stop at 989. Yes, we did it. Okay. Right, so that's mapped. We can progress onwards. Oh, we was going to look, weren't we, to see if there's any more. Was there a water world here? There is a water world here. Well, I'll do an FSS on it. We won't map it because we spent enough time in this system already. But there we go. I think that's. Well, look at that. That makes me want to go look at it. Perhaps we go look at it after all. Totally agree, Brassy. If you're in the right lighting, things do look really nice. Scan the ring. We can do. Don't think we need to scan it really, do we? I can't. I've selected the other thing. I'm not going to select again. Why shoot your probe so close? Duchess, because I was already too close. I should have travelled further back. Spot on. John, is this your full-time occupation? Or am I doing it because I love space sims? So the answer to that is both. It is my full-time occupation, and I also do it because I love space sims. So pretty fortunate. Mr. B, no new game updates that we know of yet. Let's go have a look at this water world anyway. It looked pretty interesting from that distance. Just like seeing the atmospheric scatter in there. Anyone know when the Xbox servers are going to be back up? I didn't realise they were down. I thought they'd already deployed that patch. Scott? Another look at that. Elite Dangerous servers will be offline for Xbox One and PS4 at 5 PM UTC today for approximately 5 minutes to apply the patch. But it should be back on, because they went off an hour and a half ago and they were only offline for 5 minutes apparently. Hey, Commander Sneldo. Sneaky peek while at work. Yeah, that's good. How you doing anyway? Distant Worlds 2 has been going really well. Alassi. Just found a water world, just found an ammonia world, so it's looking pretty good. Is Raxler actually in the game? Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Commander Soundo, I'm just travelling towards the next waypoint on Distant Worlds. Stopping off, looking at some of the interesting planets here. I'm not going to actually map this one, I don't think. I just want to get a bit of a flyby of it. Got a dirty looking atmosphere, isn't it? All those stars. What was the mysterious content added? Mr. B, when do you mean? When are you talking about specifically there? Which mysterious content is that? Corpse Log, quite away from the next waypoint. I've got probably 3,000 to 4,000 light years to go. Okay, off we go. So I was browsing through some of the games on Twitch earlier today, and I see Apex is still pretty much the top streamed game at the moment. Let's have a look, see if it's still there. Now, I haven't actually tried it myself yet. I did download it on my PlayStation on the PS4, but I haven't had a chance to get into it yet. Apex Legends, yes, second today, but I think there's something going on with Counter-Strike today, isn't there? Is there a tournament today or something? Yeah, there's a lot of people watching Counter-Strike. I was wondering how many of you have played Apex. On the huge update patch 2 days ago, the Elite Dangerous title said mysterious content added. Ooh, I don't remember seeing that, Mr. B. Have a look. I might have missed that when I looked at the patch notes. Just go into the forums a second and we'll have a look at if we can find it. I assume you mean in patch notes, yeah? Update. That would be that one. 3.4. It might just be me, but I'm not seeing anything about any mysterious content added. But then again, maybe that's just me. So a few of you I see have been playing Apex. Any good? Is it worth jumping in at? Cohen Leth, hello there. How are you doing? Awesome work on the Reddit logo, by the way. What's the max light years on the Phantom? So 60 light years. So Quid, you'd only recommend Apex with a pre-made team. You won't do it with a pickup team. Then again, how many games are that good with, excuse me, with pickup groups? Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Apex at Mad Dog. Not so many good things about Anthem though. A lot less good things about that game. But I haven't had a chance to try either yet. Excuse me.
System scan complete. System scan complete.
Trouble is, there's so many games nowadays and they take up so much time, and it's hard to get around to them all. No, I know you can't play solo in that, Quid. Unfortunate. Corpse, would you mind dropping the system name again for me? We'll have a look at it, see if I'm close by. Thank you, Cookie. Love you too. Am I excited about Star Citizen? So yes, if Star Citizen delivers what CIG says it's going to be, then I'm excited to be able to play that game eventually, yes, for sure. The question is whether or not it will be that game that they're trying to get released, and the question is when it will come. Astron is a really nice game, Mad Dog. I'd highly recommend it, but again, like you say, it's time, isn't it? You want to hear your thoughts on leaving low Earth orbit in real life? Do I believe it's possible? I'm not sure what you mean, Commander, after hours. I want to hear your thoughts on leaving... I'm just making sure I've read this correctly. I want to hear your thoughts on leaving low Earth orbit in real life. Do you believe it's possible? I'm not sure I understand the question, after hours. John, 2021 for Star Citizen. I think 2021 at the very earliest. I'd be more inclined to go for 2022 though, or perhaps even later. I've seen some people quite seriously saying 2025. So Quid Panic, I've used the Cytec X55, which isn't available anymore. That was a really nice HOTAS. I've currently got the Warthog though. I've heard good things about the cheaper Thrustmaster sticks as well though, so I don't discount them, although I haven't actually tried them. Yeah, they've added a lot of content at Tel since the early access of Astroneer. It came out into full release a couple of weeks back. Very different game to what we played previously. X52 Pro is another nice HOTAS. I haven't used it extensively. I've used it here and there, but enough to know it's a good stick. McCaddy, wow, thank you. Oh my goodness, thank you very, very much. You're very welcome. I'm glad you like the content. I do want to keep doing it, so yeah, thank you very, very much. Very, very much appreciated that. Cheers. Very, very kind. That's okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you, McCaddy. That's cool. Really nice. Roll Raptor, when do you think we are going to get info on the next update? We aren't getting seasons this year, right? Also, bets on Fleet Carrier actually coming this year. So some of those topics we're going to talk about in about 5 minutes or so from now. We've got Shan from Lave Radio coming on, which is when we're going to discuss some of those topics I've put in the title for the live stream thread. John, I don't play on 2 joysticks. I play on a joystick and a HOTAS. Right, let's see what we got here. But yes, I haven't done any broadcasting or radio work. Nope. I'd quite like to do it though. I've never actually ever done any of that. I've done a little bit of studio recording. I wouldn't particularly call it professional studio recording, but semi-professional. And I only wouldn't call it professional not because of the people who I've worked with, but simply because I wouldn't place myself in the same category as the people I've worked with, but yeah. So, yes, a good observation. If Star Citizen comes out in 2025, consoles will be more than capable of running it. Chances are of it staying on PC exclusive at that point is near zero. So 2025, that would probably be coming on close to being... well, let's put it this way. The PlayStation 5 is potentially out this year, maybe next year. So by 2025, a PlayStation 5 would be 4 to 5 years old. So when you look at the graphics and the games that are on the PlayStation 4 now compared to the release games that come out on the start of that console generation, they're way better now. So I can only imagine what console graphics in 2025 would be like. Probably a lot better than what Star Citizen looks like right now. And yeah, I'd imagine 2025 would be coming close to the end of the PlayStation 5 generation, or whatever they plan on doing it. Sony and Microsoft keep saying they'll be stopping with console generations at some point, but who knows? Yeah, 2025 PlayStation 5 Pro. Okay, Decker, I'll catch you soon, okay? Thank you. Tygon, yes, that is one of the theories there. 60 light years. How did I do that? PG channel. I guess the way you're saying that, you haven't played Elite for quite a long time. 60 light years for a ship now is pretty standard. Let's have a look. Where are we? There we go. 60 light years is my current build, and that's by no means the maximum of this ship. I have heard of the game Dual Universe. Yes, I want to have a look at that at some point on stream or on videos, one way or the other. Hunter, a game still worth picking up. Elite, if you're talking about that, definitely worth picking up. But you might want to wait for a sale, perhaps. It's been going down to some very low prices recently. So Andrew, you can't travel to the edge of the universe, but you can travel to the edge of the galaxy, which is what we're doing today. We won't get anywhere near there, but it's part of the Distant Worlds thing. This is the galaxy map here. Let me just switch over to realistic. You can see all the different stars here, and there's a whole ton of them. And if we zoom right out, we got the Milky Way galaxy here. This is 1-to-1 scale representation, so it's as accurate as they can get it based on current scientific knowledge, or the scientific knowledge that was available when the map was created. So 400 billion star systems, and yes, we can travel right to the edge. Earth's over here, and this is sort of the course we've got laid in to this point, and we're going to be heading over around about here sometime, but it's going to take a few weeks. Okay, great, Shan. Let's bring Shan in. So, as you noticed on the live stream title, we've got a few topics that we wanted to talk about. We've done some exploration. I'm going to continue doing that. But we've got a few other things we wanted to talk about. They've come up a few times in chat here. Speculation, the future, content updates, frontier community, and a number of other topics as well that I couldn't fit into the list. So As with last week, we had a special guest on. We had a couple of special guests last week. We got another special guest this week, who's Shan from Lave Radio. Let's see if we can set this up correctly. So, hello there, Shan. Have we got sound there?
Yes, hello everyone.
Hello. So, yeah, thank you for coming along. Nice to have you here. I don't know if you called on. I was just introducing you there from...
I did, yeah. There was a bit of a stream delay, so I think we crossed over. But
okay.
yes, so introduce away and make it flattering.
Yep. So Shan from Lave Radio. I think you've been like quite a few people now been playing Elite Dangerous right from its release. You've been on Lave Radio about a year now or so, is it?
I think so. Yes. I mean, I've been on lots of other streams before I joined the Lave Radio crew.
Yeah.
Playing Elite, I started playing it in July 2014, so it was just when it was in the early beta stage, but I missed the Kickstarter.
Okay.
phase.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty much my game of choice since 2014.
Yeah, a long time now. Then 4.5 years coming on for. I think it's just over, actually, isn't it?
Too many years. I think it's
too many years to count. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that kind of segues us in a little bit into the topic of content for the game. I mean, depending on where you look and where you read, there's a lot of different opinions about the speed of which the game's developed. In the early years, it was very, very good, with Frontier putting a lot of information out, almost rapid fire, especially during like when you were starting off there in 2014, which was still a beta phase. I think it was almost like every few weeks it felt like Frontier were giving out developer updates, letting us know where the game was coming and what they planned, even if it was stuff that wouldn't necessarily make it into the game. I remember one of those was animated clouds on gas giants. They showed off some concept art on that, which never actually came in, but it's nice to see.
Yeah, it did seem all steam ahead, didn't it? Coming up to the release of Horizons in December 15, I think it was when Horizons was released.
Yep.
And then we had the dev diaries, didn't we, which used to come along to on the newsletters. We used to have dev diaries to tell us where to go, and I think they are missed. My personal view of the newsletters is my main use for them at the moment is to see what paint jobs are in the store that particular week.
Yeah. That's still near the top of the newsletters often, isn't it?
Yeah. So, in terms of speed, I think it has slowed down. But what we don't know, of course, is first of all what they're working on in the background that's caused it to slow down, and also have they, with every release in every iteration of features, have they made it more difficult for themselves to update and upgrade the game? So you're heaping complexity upon complexity upon complexity, and therefore it's taking longer and longer.
Yep, I think that's a really valid point, and I think the real change for when I mean, we talked just briefly there about the way Frontier used to put information out and the way they used to talk about the development of the game, and it wasn't just what they spoke of, it was the pace at which the updates were delivered. And I think that all started changing just before the release of Horizons, which would have been very close to the console releases as well.
Well, I remember when Horizons was out, there were several features they talked up, like volcanism was going to come later, and it's technically, I guess, volcanism is in the game, but I was sort of expecting Mount Vesuvius volcanism rather than steam hole in the garden.
Well, that was my pile of steaming. My impression was that we'd be able to land on the lava worlds during the Horizon season. Not the ones with the atmospheres, but the atmospheric less ones.
Yeah, definitely the black and the red evil-looking ones.
Yeah.
Although Frontier did say in a stream, don't ask me who said it or the date or anything like that, but it was definitely on stream. They did say, even with atmospheric landings, landing on those sorts of planets was unlikely because of the graphical demands of needing to render them. It was like huge amounts of work to make those planets look correct.
And would that apply to water worlds, do you think, if that's the case? I mean, the lava technically would be considered liquid, wouldn't it? Would it?
I don't know. I just
You just
it's
remember.
just one of these throwaway comments they make.
Yeah,
And think,
yeah.
okay, I'll
Keep in
remember
mind.
that.
Well, talking about throwaway comments like that, I actually remember one. There was either just before Horizons was released or like a few days after. But it was one of the live streams where David Braben was on, and he actually, one comment I remember him saying is people asking him, will there be larger cities in the game? That was one of the questions coming up in chat, and I haven't been able to find it again, but I distinctly remember him saying that large cities, as he imagined them, would be coming later in the Horizon season, and these were ones larger than the the circular worlds or cities on Mercury.
Yeah, I mean, technically, you can procedurally generate cities because once you've got the building blocks of the skyscrapers or the roads and stuff, you can apply rules to those to procedurally generate them. But the question is does it actually add anything to the game other than scenery? Because unless you can land on the cities and
Do
run
something
around
there.
them in your SRV like Grand Theft Auto, do they actually add anything to the game? So I don't know. I'd love to see them, but I think people would soon get bored of seeing
them.
cities with not being able to do on them.
Do you think that could be the same issue with atmospheric worlds? Or do you think because of the scale of them and the variety, it might be a bit different?
I would hope we have different gameplay to get to land on atmospheric worlds. I mean, the scene I always want to replicate was, I don't know if you remember, there was the scene of the dropship landing on LV 426 in Aliens, where they have the cloud and they have the, we're in the 5x5 kind of, that kind of feeling the atmosphere and having to fly it as an atmospheric vessel rather than just sort of plonking down on it as we do with Nightmare. So I wanted to feel different, not
completely
just have
classic
different scenery.
Yeah, I can understand that. The same would be for gas giants. I think, in a way, technically, it perhaps would be easier to put new gameplay with gas giants rather
Possibly,
than atmospheric
but again,
worlds.
what would you do with gas giant? Would refueling, say, from a gas giant just be the same as doing it from a sun, but slightly looking a bit different?
Well, I don't know. I was kind of thinking that maybe when you scan the atmospheric, not the atmospheric planets, but the gas giants, we sometimes see it's with ammonia-based life or water-based life. And I've always...
I mean, what I would want to see in gas giants, and it's completely, imaginary at the moment, would be in Arthur C. Clarke's 2010, his book, he talks about going into the center of Jupiter. So they go through one layer and it's gas and stuff like that, and then they talk about these life forms that are like jellyfish but live in the gas layer, and then at the center of Jupiter is a giant diamond. So having that sort of ability to go through and see those different layers in the gas giant would be amazing.
Yeah. Maybe the newer ships for that due to the atmospheric pressures, perhaps.
Well, I've often wondered about atmospheric pressures and how strong our ships actually have to be, because there's an element of hand wavium, I think, in ship hull strength. Because, we can drop out within several kilometers of a black hole and not be squished.
Yeah.
For example. And the pressures and stresses on the hull near a black hole is substantially greater than that inside a gas giant. I would imagine.
Yeah. No.
So it's basically, it can be whatever Frontier want it to be, and in a lot of these decisions that are made, you almost have to put a check on your thinking and say, well, this is what Frontier's decision is, and I almost have to put my logic to one side to enjoy it. Now, it doesn't always work, because there are some things they've done that are completely illogical, and you're thinking, why on earth? And for me, it doesn't get past that barrier. But in general, you just kind of have to think, well, it's the way it is. So I either don't enjoy it or I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think there's kind of an area there with a lot of games where, especially science fiction games, where when you play them, you can put certain things aside if they're not quite feasible, as long as the game keeps in tune with its own internal logic. It's when it becomes internally inconsistent. That's sometimes when it becomes, for me anyway, it becomes a bit more of an issue.
Yes, I mean, for me though, it breaks that rule internally as well sometimes. But
Elite
as I
does.
say, it's
Elite
a
breaks the
choice.
rules
Do you,
internally quite a bit, yeah. If that's what you meant. Putting words in your mouth there, perhaps.
yeah, like I say, you can't expect them to make completely perfectly logical decisions because they have to put in the factor of the gameplay. Is it fun? Does it move the game in the direction that they intend to move it towards? And that is, if you like, an overriding factor, I think, in a lot of their decisions.
Do you think in the earlier days of Elite Dangerous, they were more Frontier were more focused on the scientific accuracy, and they've kind of moved away from that in terms, not so much in terms of the way they represent the galaxy, but in terms of the gameplay? They've made more concessions recently, do you think, or would you not really say there's been too much change there?
Possibly. I don't really want to go into a whole stream of things I think they need to fix or
Yeah. Oh
anything
no,
like
we don't
that.
want to go that way.
But yeah, possibly. I mean, the one that I just think of has always been a bit, in a way, nonsensical, is how our exploration data is lost when our ship blows up, but the thousands of individual materials and items of data isn't.
Yeah, especially data items and not just material items. We can escape with that. One's in our pockets, our magic pockets.
Magic pockets,
Yeah,
yeah.
you remember that game?
And the other thought I had is how desperate must you be to become an NPC crewman as a career?
Yeah, knowing that you're not going to escape. Everyone else can escape the ship except the crew member. Yeah. So going back to the topic of Frontier's approach to content and information release, do you think it's a good time now to have a roadmap for 2019?
I'd like to have a roadmap, as I think would everyone. This is something we mentioned on yesterday's Lave Radio, actually, about the roadmap versus keeping it quiet until they're ready, drip feeding releases. And I was thinking the only example we have of an elite roadmap was at Frontier Expo when they released their plans for 2018. And although there wasn't an awful lot of detail there, it did give people milestones and something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, the first one, it's going to be engineering and crime and punishment. And the second one, it's going to be this. And we end up with squadrons and, at the time, carriers at the end of the year. So he didn't kind of overhype people, or certainly I wasn't overhyped, because
No, but it
I
was
kind
enough.
of knew at each step what it was going to be at a high enough level to have that sense of, oh, I wonder what it's going to be like. So I like the roadmap idea. The question I have is why we haven't yet seen a roadmap is what is their marketing plan? Why haven't they released it yet? Is there some greater marketing plan they're going to do it for great fanfares? Are they waiting for a particular event in the gaming calendar to release the information? So what's their marketing plan and how has that dictated the flow of information? Because that is definitely something Frontier have changed, is the way they now integrate marketing into their community management part.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned a reveal of a roadmap for 2018 at the Frontier Expo in October 2017.
Right,
so they basically gave a heads up for the next years of content, or probably 15 months worth of notification of what to expect by the end of 2018.
Yeah.
They did the similar, was it EGX 2015? Because
because there was the 2.1, the 2.2, the 2.3, and then the 2-point question mark, wasn't there?
That's it. That was it. They did a very short little snippet up. They did like a conference presentation they held at EGX. I'm sure it was 2015. It was before it was after the Gamescom announcement of Horizons, but before they'd given any other information out, and they just basically did a breakdown of what each update was going to be.
Yes, because there was a long gap, wasn't there, between the 2.x releases, wasn't there?
That's it. Yeah.
And I think I'm trying to remember back now, but there was a long delay, wasn't there, where they almost had to write stuff from scratch because the technical limitations they were encountering at the time meant it took that long to get right. But they didn't. Did they put a date or a quarter on each release? I'm not sure they did. but the 2.1, 2.2. But I don't think it actually did any harm to say this is our plan for the next year. What would be damaging, and this is tinfoil hat moment, was if their plans for 2019 were not as substantial as what we hope them are. Hope it is.
Yeah, it would at this point. I mean, they've done really well with the Chapter 4 update. They've been, in terms of some of the attitude towards the game, they've really turned it around. There was a lot of negativity, I think, about the middle of last year towards Elite, and I think that's really that's turned around with Chapter 4.
Yes, they did. Yeah, although I do worry that this goodwill they've generated from the Beyond, and the Beyond release is kind of wearing out a little bit because there isn't any further news.
That's exactly what I was about to say. It's a shame to kind of lose that momentum they've built up.
Well, in business, as you said, in business and in anything, momentum is everything. It's a lot easier to lose momentum than it is to gain it.
Yes, exactly. It can happen very quickly.
And again, we were only speculating on what the internal workings of Frontier are, but personally, I would have had all the news lined up like dominoes.
Yeah. So
that you release one bit of news, then when the excitement for that tends to fade away, you release another one, and then the other one, and then the other one. So you don't become overhyped because you control the flow.
Yep. Just letting a bit of information out at a time.
Yeah.
See, the other theory there, a bit of speculation, is the fact Frontier said they're moving away from seasons. Now, that could mean two things, couldn't it? It could mean the season pass, as in paying for the content up front and then having it delivered in segments, or it could mean they're moving away from the idea of delivering it in segments. I'm not sure really how they meant that.
Well, there's pros and cons to each. The con for delivering it in segments, and if you pay for each segment, is it then becomes more complex to manage game balance. Because let's say, for example, we buy 4.1, but we don't like what's in 4.2, but we like what's in 4.3. So the game has to then manage not only of what people have in Horizons, but also what options of DLC do they have.
And everyone's got potentially a different build.
Correct, yeah. So, but releasing it in one go, and then doing patch releases after that also has an issue, because the gap between delivering content is greater.
Yeah. See, that's why I'm wondering if what may be the case this time, and it's one of the reasons for the, I wouldn't say delay in news, because they haven't said they're going to give us any news, but the fact that we've not received any news yet, I'm wondering if it's perhaps down to the fact that the next update is going to be delivered as a singular whole, and so that they, by the time they announce it, they don't want it being too long between when the next, if it's not being delivered in segments.
Maybe, but we know there's other things coming that are small releases. I think it was mentioned somewhere that they are going to be doing mission packs at some point in time.
Yeah.
So why not say, well, summer 2018, coming to a galaxy near you, mission packs, and then you kind of trickle out these small mission pack updates while people wait for the big one that you've got announced. So then at least it keeps a degree of momentum. But I feel what we're doing here now is we're analysing Frontier's marketing plan, not necessarily how they develop the game.
Yep, but is that partly that's what gamers do, and the other side is we've had such little information lately. We're kind of left with only that.
Yes, I mean, if I was to be a betting man, I would not expect a big Elite release until the end of 2019. Yeah. I would expect to see smaller mission packs, maybe different scenarios added to the game, maybe different mission types. So you trickle out existing content, but nothing new until the end of the year.
Yeah, that's just kind of how I'm expecting it. I also have a feeling we won't get any big announcements of what the next big update will be until more towards one of the bigger gaming events, whether that be at E3 or Gamescom or something that Frontier put on themselves.
Yes, well, I'm just trying to think of the games calendar this year. When is the next one due? The next will be GX or
PAX East is very soon, isn't it? It's March.
When is that?
March. Let's have a look. March 29th or 28th. The reason I know that is because I remember it's the same weekend as Brexit deadline. Yeah.
Which March? Anyway,
This March,
yeah.
March 29th.
No. I was making a comment with Brexit as I say
Oh,
which
right.
March. But anyway,
yeah. Don't go there.
so yeah, PAX East possible. Is that going to be big enough? Say if they do release space legs or atmospheric landings, is that going to be a big enough event for them? Do you think?
I don't know how I can't say Brexit there. Got Brexit on the brain. I don't know how PAX East compares to Gamescom, for example, because I know they've made a large announcement at Gamescom in the past, haven't they?
Yes, although we should also factor in is when they're releasing their next franchise.
Yes.
Because they did mention that they'd be
Yes.
releasing their next franchise before the end of the year. So working back from the end of the year, so 3 months they're going to want to get a bit of hype in it. So you'll be expecting the new franchise announcement May June time, maybe to hit the end of the year.
Yeah. I think I made a video on about it, and I know you've spoken about it on Lave Radio, but Frontier recently had some new financials released through their broker, Liberum.
Yeah, there's some quite interesting snippets in there. I believe you can still get the article on a subscribe and cancel method.
Yeah, so it's like a
because of the-
7-day trial or something.
Yeah, because of the T's and C's you sign up to, you can't actually repeat everything that's in it.
No, exactly. I won't want to go into too much specifics
But
here.
there's a few things in there that interested me. Well, first of all is the disclaimer that what we saw in that article was an analyst's opinion. It
Yes.
wasn't fact. It wasn't directly from Frontier. This was the analyst's opinion.
Yeah, which is kind of proceeded with "we believe," wasn't it? Which emphasised that fact.
That's right. Yeah. So it's not fact. It's not directly straight from the mouth of Lord Braben. It is an analyst's view of what was going to happen. But saying that, there was some interesting information from that. I mean, first of all, the good news is that Frontier is now very, very profitable in that it's recorded its biggest ever profit, and it goes into the breakdown of each franchise it owns. And what was refreshing was to see how much money Elite Dangerous had actually made Frontier in the last year, and indeed is projected to. I think it was something they were projecting 10 million a year.
Yep.
Until 2021.
2021. That's it. Yeah, financial year 2022, wasn't it?
And that 10 million is an awful amount of paint jobs.
It is indeed. If it's just paint jobs, yeah. Wasn't it the 4 million they've made this year from paint jobs?
I think so. Yeah, so far. And what you have to think of that as well. To be honest, if I wanted a third account for Elite, I'd wait till the sale until it was going on for a £5 or a 10 quid for Horizons. I wouldn't pay full price for it. So you have to think to buy Elite the game is cheaper. So therefore, you either need to sell more copies or you need to sell more paint jobs. Or, speculation alert, there's something coming down the line that they think will earn a significant additional revenue to make up the difference between the paint jobs and the 10 million.
Yep. Which could be any number of things, and that's kind of what led me into bringing up the financials again here. It was your mentioning of releasing a second franchise this year, the fourth franchise. Now that's not only been announced for this year; that's coming out in this financial year, isn't it?
We don't know what that is yet. They said it's going to be delivered, I believe. This is in their annual statement. I believe they said it's going to be released by the end of 2019. So that talks about a Christmas release.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking about. If there's a big update to Elite Dangerous coming in the same time period, would it be beneficial to them to schedule them at the same time, or would they perhaps want to spread it across the year?
I don't know if they're competing, and I'm just going to pick up what I've been saying about atmospheric landings and space legs. So we'll jump onto that after this a little bit. But Yeah, the timing of it's interesting because wasn't one of the big or point releases for Elite released about the same time as Planet Coaster?
I think you might be right, actually. I think they might have come out very close together, yeah.
So, and I don't know the crossover between how many Elite players played Planet Coaster or how many Elite players play Jurassic World and whatever, what the mix is. I suspect there's quite a bit of overlap between the people who play Frontier games. So, being as this new franchise may well not be space related, I don't think there'd be an awful lot of overlap, and I
Yeah.
think it would. I don't. So I don't think they would take
They
away
pull
from
one
each other.
players, yeah.
So,
I was thinking more in terms of their profit, spreading that across the year rather than pushing it into one quarter or something like that.
maybe that's a cash flow issue.
Yeah.
So it depends on how their accounting wants to present their figures, really, whether they want to defer the revenue into the next tax year, as they did a couple of years ago with Horizons, didn't they? They
That's it.
deferred the revenue
Yeah.
over. So they may well do that to one of them.
Yeah. So hard to tell at
Going
the
on,
moment, eh?
yeah, going quickly back onto the atmospheric landings and atmospheric planets. Someone made the comment, he's gone off the screen now, that atmospheric landings are an easier, in quotes, easier expansion than space legs. I would completely go along with that. To do space legs properly, and not only do you need to have decent texture models and things for people to do, you need to update your chat system. You need places where people can hang out and chat and maybe do duels or whatever. So you need to almost build a completely new MMO style game to do space legs properly. Now they could go the placeholder route, but I think that would disappoint quite a lot of people if all you could do was go outside a ship or go in a space station and just have a different point of view. So you may as well be an SRV as you do walking around. I think that would be
That would
for
be
people.
disappointing, especially at this point.
But then, of course, you then have the technical aspect of it, because at the moment, our transition between super cruise and going into orbital cruise on a planet is pretty seamless. There's, the decelerating bit is your loading screen,
Yes.
but there's not a lot of delay if it's working correctly in that. But what sort of loading would you have between Spaceship Elite and Elite Feet, particularly if you're on a console? I
Well,
mean,
that's the
PC,
thing,
it was.
isn't it? Yeah. I mean,
So how would they handle that transition?
yeah, or would it work like on Star Citizen, where you can literally just get up out of your seat? I'd imagine that's how a lot of people are envisaging in it. You literally just get up out of your seat and you're in space legs.
Well, I expect what you'll have is when you deploy your SRV, or even when you go into the fighter, it has like a little loading screen, doesn't it, where you see the dots
transitions
descend
to yeah,
that
yep.
bit. Yeah, I mean that is the transition they could use. But the question is, if you got this whole other game on top of that, how smooth and how long is that transition going to be?
Yeah, that's quite an interesting question, actually.
So just a thought.
It is. That's one of those thoughts that just makes your mind start thinking, and you sit there quiet as you're contemplating. But yeah, in terms of that, atmospherics will definitely probably be easier.
I mean,
quotes.
Just quickly flipping on to the next franchise. I believe a number of years ago, Frontier developed a game, and I can't remember its name now, but it was like a first-person game using the Cobra engine that they then abandoned.
Outsider?
Outsider, that's the one. So I'm wondering, because you can see how each game they've developed, they could use the technology in Elite, so you've got the crowd behavior from Planet, got the foliage and the landscape of Jurassic Park
Yes.
Evolution.
Yeah.
If Outsiders, if they had a first person that came out, you could see how that would benefit Elite. So you can look at each game they released on the way and almost see how they can use the tech from that game inside Elite.
I agree. It's been interesting in the past to hear David Braben mention big gamer hunting or hunting down dinosaurs, and then suddenly they've got a Jurassic World game. So you can kind of see their flow of thinking might be, how can we develop one game that benefits the others?
Yes, you can see how the tech is kind of, well, it's from an outsider looking in, you can see how the Cobra engine has been adapted to do it. So I'm not a games developer. I just look at something. Oh, okay, I can use that for
exactly
that.
the same. Yeah. It's probably nowhere near that easy, but it seems that's the way it would be heading. Now moving on, Frontier have got a bunch of new live streams coming up. Frontier Extra, and just for the benefit of people watching now, the idea there is these are very much a new form of live stream, but they're kind of community focused, where Frontier are talking about all the games that they've currently got, so 3 games at the moment, and they'll be talking about the news on that, community events and community creations and things like that. I think that's a really nice addition to their live stream lineup.
I think so, yes, because one thing they have said, and I'm sure you predicated it before, is there's going to be nothing on there about 2019
Yes, that's
releases
what I was about to get to there as well.
Their existing games. So I don't think there's any point in bombarding them with what's coming next, because they'll either give a stock answer or they won't answer at all. In terms of things, I think it is a good idea that they seem to be developing more of brand Frontier than a game. We do Planet Coaster, we do this, we do this, we do this. At a game level, it seems more developing a brand. So I think these streams that talk about all the Frontier products and highlight the stuff that's going on in them, I think is the right thing for them to be doing. Now, if you remember back, there used to be a segment on when Bo and Ed used to do Planet Coaster streams, and if they still do it, then I apologise because I haven't managed to catch one for a while. But what they would do is they would go through the community creations in Planet Coaster, put them in their sandbox theme park, and go, "Wow, look, this is great!" And, they'd really talk up what the community was doing and to highlight some of the builders in there. If they still do that, then I'm sorry, but that's just the ones I remember.
I remember, definitely remember that. Yeah, I don't know if they still do that or not, but I definitely remember them doing that. And they'd show those creations off.
Yeah, and they used to do that as well in the Jurassic Park ones as well. I think, as I say, I don't know what's changed since Ed left the other streams, but yeah, I think it's positive. Let's see what happens. Will I be tuning in every week? Probably not, because I have limited time. So I don't know. I guess I'll watch the first one and I'll see what happens.
See what it's like. Yeah.
From a brand building perspective, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I'm glad that, as you mentioned there, they managed to say up front that don't tune in expecting news on an Elite Dangerous 2019 roadmap or anything like that, because as soon as they announced the live streams, that was what a lot of people were hoping for and expecting, I think. So it's good that Frontier have made it clear that before there's a load of disappointment with people tuning in expecting the wrong thing. Yeah,
although I did raise the question with Will on the Monday lunch stream. I said, Will, why don't you have a little banner that scrolls across the screen telling people you've nothing to announce, and when there is, we will do it, sort of thing. Just kind of have it as a banner.
People keep asking, yeah.
Just not to keep asking, but I think they like the interaction, but they like people to ask so they can give an immediate personal question, response to that question. So.
Yeah. So someone just asking here very quickly what time are the streams. So the Frontier Extra streams, I think the first one's 22nd, which is Friday.
I think so,
3 p.m. UTC. Oh yeah.
Which is a strange time, isn't it?
Well, it is. Yeah, because it's very early for people on the America time zone, and it's still pretty early for the UK time zone. But
because you think it'd be at a lunchtime or early evening, because I can usually push my lunch to sort of 1:30 until
Yeah.
2:30, but
Yeah.
if I push my lunch to 3:00, then it's almost like I'm having an early dinner.
Early dinner.
So,
Yeah. And
yeah,
the people aren't home from work then, and they're not home from school really. So, well, they said they're flexible on the time. They have said that. So,
yeah. As I say, we'll see. I mean, there's also the fact you can watch it on VOD as well, so you
yeah,
can
on
watch
demand.
the stream on demand if you like.
I mean, personally, from just a regular person who wants to watch some live streams from a company that makes some of my favourite games, I'd like to see a live stream similar to the Warframe ones. I don't know if you've seen the dev streams
I
from Digital Extremes.
don't follow Warframe at all.
Yeah, they're very. I mean, on one hand, they're probably not going to be the way Frontier would go, because they do these occasional live streams, perhaps once a month or something like that, where they play dev builds, and that's always nice to see. But generally, it's just the overall tone of the live stream, which is very nice. It's very relaxed and very friendly, and they just discuss the game. So that would be kind of a nice direction to see it go. I think basically what I'm saying is less corporate and more just people enjoying the game.
It's interesting. Well, I guess we can talk about this a bit later, or maybe juggle the order a bit and talk about it now. It's interesting because you talk about how the flow of information was so much more frequent, ages ago, and now it's kind of got less frequent. I think as a culture, Frontier as they've grown, and it's not a criticism of Frontier, because you kind of have to be that way as your company grows anyway. But it's kind of gone from less I've got a whole bunch of mates who happen to play the games we do, to more of a kind of a corporate where they were on message and they have a marketing plan, and they do this and this and this and this, and they hold back information until they're actually sure it's going to be in. So all this kind of stuff is, in quotes, them becoming more corporate. But then again, I think part of that move was necessary because the size which Frontier now are as a company.
Yeah, it gets to a
I
point
don't
where it's
like
perhaps.
it. I'd rather they stay the chummy. We've got a whole load of mates who just happen to play the games we play, and
Yeah,
if you get to LaveCon, there is still that atmosphere there, because
yeah,
they'll be drinking in the bar, they'll be chatting, they'll be messing about, they'll be playing Cards of Humanity, and whatever it is,
yeah.
they join in as proper members of the community. And I hope that never ever goes away, because one of the things that impressed me first at the first LaveCon I went to was, I'd been to other gaming conventions where they had a panel, a game developer panel, and the game developers would turn up, they'd do the panel, and then they'd go home.
Yeah, it's just their job.
Whereas at LaveCon, they came when I opened at 9:30 in the morning. They were there all the way through until early o'clock in the morning, where some of them would be enjoying gin and tonic so much they'd have to be dragged off to their room
Yeah,
by Lave Radio crew members and or other members of Frontier, and they'd still be there the next day. So
yeah,
they were doing it not because it was a job, but because they genuinely
because
wanted to be
yeah,
with the community and taking part in
yeah,
the whole thing.
yeah.
And I hope they never ever lose that, because that is such a key
It's a
differentiator
big
for
thing.
me
It's a big thing.
between Frontier and games companies of similar sizes.
Yeah, it would be a shame to see that go. I think you can kind of, as a company, I would hope that Frontier as a company can try and even convey some of that across in their live streams. I mean, they've managed to up until now. This the one with Ed's leaving live stream. I know it was a lot of Ed talking about his career there, but I felt that was kind of that type of approach.
Yeah, we've got we've hopefully got some community management representation on Lave Radio in the next few weeks. So I kind of feels like with Ed's departure, it's freed up that community team to develop their own style and how they want to do things. Because sometimes you can be locked into a style that, because you're not that sort of person, or you haven't got that particular set of gifts, it then just becomes a group of wannabes rather than being genuine.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm going to look with interest to see how how Frontier respond with their live streams. I remember crying with laughter at some of Ed's streams when he was on with just himself or with on Bo and the rest of them. They were just so funny, and I really enjoyed them. However, it needs to be natural. You can't force that sort of thing. So
No.
just see how it goes, really.
Well, that's one thing I always thought with Ed is very much a natural when it come to streaming.
Yeah, he's a natural performer. I'm
Yeah.
not saying Will or the rest of them aren't,
No,
but
but it's,
I've seen more of Ed in full flow than I have the others at the moment.
yeah.
So I'm reminiscing now, but him doing the Deal or No Deal with Mr. Blobby,
Yeah.
with him as Ed Millmans
Yeah.
at LaveCon,
and it's almost a spur of the moment as well, isn't it? It comes across.
We were crying with laughter there because Adam Woods was in the Mr. Blobby costume, and Ed was doing his. Oh goodness me! I was crying with laughter. I think I've ever laughed so much in years. But then again, there'll be different things. So the different team will think of different fun things to do. So I'm optimistic.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. Looking forward to seeing what they come up with. So last week on my live stream here, and I'm not probably going to be able to do it every week, but this is the second week in a row where I've had a guest on. Last week it was we were talking about squadrons. I had Spidey on, and a couple of other guys from some of the larger squadrons. That was a large Xbox player group, and we were talking about squadrons then. And one of the things that would come up was squadron rewards, because they've only just come up kind of fairly recently, where the season 1 had come to an end, and it was Celestial Light Brigade, and they'd actually got quite a few of the rewards themselves. I think 3 or 4, quite at the top of the charts on the Xbox platform. So all members in their squadron actually got these bobbleheads, and I did have a screenshot of them, but I haven't got it easy to access today. But they're basically like these trophies that you can display on your dashboard in your ship. So if you're in the first of these leaderboards for anti-Xeno combat or trading or something like that, you'll get a respective.
Yeah. Do we know if these rewards are permanent, or do they go away at the end of the next season? So the people who've got them now, do they disappear if they're no longer in the leaderboard?
Well, that was actually a question I asked the guys that came on, and I don't think they'd even really considered it. So they were totally. They didn't know. They didn't know whether they'd got them permanently. They hoped they got them permanently. So I was wondering if it's just like those trophies that the winners get for this season, and then they're passed on to the winners for the next season. I didn't know if they were permanent or not. I guess that's what you're asking, yeah?
Yeah, I was just wondering because and it just sort of like bring us on to my thought when I saw the rewards when they're first announced. Actually, is first of all, I think cosmetic only rewards for gameplay are a great idea. They're a great motivator. They don't affect balance, and only earning them through gameplay promotes more gameplay. So you just can't go in the store and buy the trophy for most exploration data or anything like that. So you actually have to do the work.
Yep.
However, what I don't know with these current rewards is, let's say, for example, I joined Hunt and Trucker Squadron 3 days before the awards were calculated. And all I did was float around my home station. I didn't actually truck anything anywhere. I just did my own thing. Would I still get the reward for doing not very much at all, and just for basically turning up? Or is there a threshold at which you have to participate within the squadron to be able to get the reward?
Yeah, because that actually opens up a couple of interesting questions, actually. One being squadrons opening up the place, or people joining the squadron just to simply get the reward when they know the season's coming to an end. And the other question is, what happens if you leave a squadron? Do you keep the rewards, or are they gone?
I don't know, because again, coming from other games that have had similar cosmetic rewards for clan or guild achievements, what would happen would be members of that squadron or clan or guild, they would sell slots, some using real money, for players to be in that guild to get the rewards. So they'd say, PayPal us 10 quid and I'll send you the invite for the squadron or the guild, and then when we win, you'll get the gold cup.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, so selling slots is a thing.
Yep.
It's a very sad. It's a
No,
very sad
that's
thing.
it's terrible,
Pay
actually.
real money
Really.
to
Yeah.
get. You'd pay real money to get a gold cup on a dashboard. But
Yep.
anyway, people do. So again, I'm not sure. You know how the thing works in the next season. I think if it's if we don't know, I'll ask at LaveCon.
It'd be worth finding out. There's
about
quite
it.
a lot of unknown questions, really, that come up with this. At least for me. Like I say, it's probably worth, like you said, there, it's probably worth asking Frontier them directly. I see someone in chat has said that the bobblehead rewards are permanent, but they've simply just said they're permanent. So I don't know if they know that, or they're just saying that because that's what they think.
So what's the motivation? If it's permanent, what's the motivation for doing it again?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to go on to next. I think we've kind of said this to each other in the past. What's to prevent the same squadrons from keep continuously winning? I mean, if the squadron's large enough or they're good enough at that particular activity, are they always going to be the ones that are always in that same position, season on season?
Yeah, because you'd kind of figure CQC Discord was always going to win CQC, wouldn't he? For example.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, it's interesting to see. And again, I'm not sure if there's something Frontier have considered or even think as a priority.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea. Like you said, that they've gone out and done this. So cosmetic items as rewards is a really nice step.
I mean, I think there should be more cosmetic rewards you can't buy in the store anyway.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
whether
even
it's
paint jobs,
whether it's decals or a sheet or a paint job or something like that, because where we're heading to, and this isn't really on our topic of conversation at all, but one of the things I'm very keen to notice is what is the in-game progression model now for Elite, because if you can say, well, it's to get elite ranking, well, what happens when everyone gets elite ranking? What's the progression model from on? You know, is it credits? Well, credits are almost, I won't say valueless, because obviously there's some people watching this who wish they had 1 million credits, but
yeah.
The amount for people to buy using credits has a cap on it.
Yes.
So what happens once you reach that cap of stuff you want to buy? So what is that? Is that the progression model? And yes, you can argue the progression model in Elite is whatever you want it to be, but there's some fundamental balance questions that are part of that. I mean, will we, for example, we've already seen jump ranges go up and up and up and up over the last 3 years. Is the jump range that's achievable now, is that capped now? Will it always be 84 and a bit light years, which I think is the most that you can get of an Anaconda? Will it always be 84 and a bit light years? Or will they, in a year's time, will it be 90? Will it be 100? Will the power of your weapons, will they be fixed? You know, how we reach the power plateau there, or will the next expansion mean you then have to upgrade and re-engineer your weapons? So are we on a gear treadmill or are we at a plateau? And the reason why that relates to cosmetic rewards is in many games, what they've done is they've kept the power or the effective power of the gear and the skills and stuff about the same. The challenge then and the progression model is then horizontal, and the way you reward horizontal progression is through rare skins, rare ship kits, decals, etc., like that. So your progression becomes cosmetic, not balance.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a difficult thing to kind of balance. But I think when you've got a game which, like Elite, which has got so many different areas to it. I mean,
yeah, just getting some interesting comments in chat actually. Duchess Elysium says leaderboard should be divided up into leagues. Larger squadrons compete with large, medium versus medium. I think that's a reasonable suggestion actually.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to see that.
You know, I think that's a valid suggestion. Because you still get the prestige for being the top squadron. It would just be the top squadron of your size.
Of that size. It was actually
although so I'm just thinking that through. Although squadron size is of less relevance than squadron activity, because if you've got a full roster of 500 people with only 10 people on all the time, and a squadron of 20 people with 20 on all the time, the squadron of 500 would be in the top leaderboard, and
Yeah,
the squadron.
but they
So
might not have the. But yeah. This is actually
it's
something I asked the guys who come on with their player groups last week about the fact of the smaller groups. How can they manage to compete with the larger groups? And they actually said that some of the smaller groups have done very well because they pick an activity and they're extremely focused on that particular activity. They did give some examples, but I can't remember which areas of the leaderboard they cited now. But effectively, the way they were saying it was that if they were going to try and compete with them being one of the larger player groups, they would have struggled. Whereas you've got the smaller player groups who might have fewer people, but they do that activity day in, day out, so they're very focused and very specialised.
and then you've got another group of players that said, "Who cares about bobbleheads anyway?"
Yeah, who cares about Bubblehead? What else was there? There was something I wanted to mention about background simulation. Personally, I don't play the background simulation a lot.
I
Uh,
don't. I
no.
don't that much. The main reason I use the BGS is for my own advantage in games. I'm kind of a bit of a mercenary as far as that's concerned. Like I'll look for a system where people have put it into Outbreak, so you can get various materials and all sorts of stuff like that. So
take
I tend to
advantage of it.
use it that way.
Yeah,
But there are issues with the BGS. I think it was a couple of days ago. Adam Bork-Waite spoke on it. I've got what he's written in the forum in front of me. If you wanted me to read it
yeah.
out,
Go on, go for it.
he said, "Hi everyone. I just wanted to poke my head in and say that we do recognise the BGS has a number of issues that we're looking to address. We're currently in the process of investigating fixes for some of these issues, and work is ongoing to return to a state of stability." And he then goes to say, more specifically, we are currently looking into the balance between different activities, for example, how much influence trade activities provide compared to that of missions. So ways that we can decrease the number of active conflicts, as wars, civil wars, elections, and the impact conflicts then have on the BGS. How the BGS trends away from factions being stuck in civil war and investment states. And finally, we're investigating player reports that our actions are not resulting in the results that they're expecting during conflict. And he goes on to thank you for providing reports, etc. He goes into detail as to what the sort of data they're looking at. But he does finish off with saying, we understand the ongoing issues with the BGS are not ideal and the impact that these issues have on commanders and factions, and would like to thank you for your patience as we investigate these issues. We currently do not have an ETA on when these issues will be fixed, but we'll try to keep you updated on the progress.
Right.
So it sort of sounds like this there's stuff going on that they need a lot more information on.
Information on,
So he
yeah.
gives a list of what's needed. What it came across to me, and whenever they go through the BGS, it seems like one of those ridiculously complicated Swiss watches with all the cogs and go tick,
Yeah,
tick, tick,
yeah.
tick, tick, and then affecting each other. And I think what's happened is one of the cogs isn't in the right alignment,
Mm,
and so it's affecting the whole. It has knock-on effects of everything,
yep.
and they're trying to work out which particular cog it is
Yeah, and
on this
it's affecting
really
every other
complicated Swiss
part of it.
watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I might be wrong on this, but I think Adam's post there was one of the first we've heard from Frontier on the background simulation for quite a while now. The one before that being something from Ed. But I've seen, mainly on the forums, but also in comments on my YouTube videos and a bit on Reddit, quite a few players and quite a few groups saying that they're having issues with the background simulation.
That's right.
Whilst at the same time, I found it interesting that some of the other groups, some of the larger ones, seem to be remaining quiet on it and not seeming to have
Yeah.
too much in the way of
I,
issues. So I don't know if
I just
perhaps some of them have figured stuff out and they're just trying to keep quiet, or what's going on.
I just want to just quick nip in. Retro Citizen has asked, "Is the base game good enough? It's 20 quid on Steam, while the deluxe version is 40 quid with all the expansions." At this point, I mean, it's full on worth the 40 quid. What I would say is the expansions Horizons now offers so much more than the base game. I think you will be missing out on quite a bit if you don't get it. However, what I would say is that the game is very often on sale. So, although it may seem contradicting myself, if you can afford the 40 quid, go for it. If you can afford the 20 quid, buy it for 20 quid because the Horizons expansion will be on sale at some point in time in the future.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying there. And just to back up the point there about being a sale, I think the last couple of sales, they've been £5 each, or £10 together. So it's quite a hefty discount. If they come up for sale at that point again, that'd be quite nice. So, sorry, just hitting my
Yeah, it
mic
obviously
there.
depends on how much. Yeah, also depending on how desperate Retro Citizen is to get into
To
it, I
get it,
guess,
yeah.
because the next sale could be months away.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I'm just saying that if money's an issue, then the 20 quid, see if you like it. But you are missing out on a lot of content.
Yeah, in terms
Well, not
of
buying it.
amount of gameplay you're going to get out of it, there's a lot of stuff in Horizons compared to the vanilla version. Someone earlier on, Duchess Elysium and Commander Dr. Digital, they just asked what the background simulation is, or what is BGS. So BGS is a background simulation, and it's basically the mechanics that run everything in the galaxy, just the background elements. So how the factions interact with each other, and the state of government that's ruling them, and that affects.
At a high level, it attempts to simulate a living galaxy at the economic and political levels. So, for example, in a boom state, you will get certain items in the commodity section will be cheaper, and some will be more expensive. Or if you go to a system in famine, say for example, then foodstuffs are likely to be more expensive because there's a greater demand than if it was in boom. So it's subtle changes like that that the background sim also operates. It's quite complicated in the way it works, but its effect is profound, and it's the one reason Frontier gave years ago as to why there couldn't be an offline version of Elite, because it just wouldn't be. It wouldn't seem as alive as it does.
Yeah, yep. It does make a lot of difference if you're going around and seeing system. Well, it makes a lot of difference if you're paying attention, less so if you're perhaps not paying attention. I mean, I would still like to see more obvious things happening in systems that are in a state of war. It is better now than it used to be because you actually get conflict zones. And I noticed this shortly after Chapter 4 came out. I was flying up towards a planet which I wanted to land at. And I can't remember why I wanted to land at the planet. But as always, there was some USSs there which were, well, they weren't USSs, they were conflict zone markers. But as I approached them, there was a message coming up saying something along the lines of the system's in a state of war and beware. Words to those effect, I'm paraphrasing it, but it's nice little touches like that which make it feel as though something is going on.
So I think what Adam was saying was that the BGS at a high level is working. There are just edge cases where it isn't working quite as they expected it to, and players expected it to. So it's not that it's not working; it's that there are cases where it's not doing what they expect it to.
Yeah, and that might explain why we're hearing different things from different groups.
Yeah, and in fact, just to go on what the BGS is, pretty much everything you do in game has an effect on the BGS, apart from floating in a ship doing nothing.
Yeah.
So if you dock at a station and hand in exploration data, that will affect the BGS. If you shoot pirates in a system, that will affect the BGS. If you go into a conflict zone and fight against the system owners, that affects the system. So basically, everything you do affects the BGS at a macro or micro level.
And this is how some people play the BGS, or some groups, where they do coordinated efforts against or within certain systems to achieve certain objectives.
That's right. Yes, because obviously, a system being in a certain state, and also it expands into who actually can take control of the system in terms of what government they put in. So you can play it. You can role play it as a politics. You can role play as your faction is seeking to conquer another faction economically and politically. Um, so you can play it as if you like can role play it almost like a game of Risk, and so there are people who are really into it and can wax lyrical for hours about the inner details of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And it is another dimension to the game, a certainly more complex and deeper dimension than just flying around, being a space trucker.
Exactly, yeah. That's the nice thing about it. There's so many different areas you can get involved with. Just we're coming towards the end really of the stream, 8 o'clock now. But just something I noticed someone asking earlier over on Twitch was Viper. They asked us both, if you want to answer it as well, if we could have Frontier add or change one thing to the game, whether that's to do with gameplay or whether it's to do with the community or communication or whatever it is. What would it be? What would that be for you?
How big a change are we allowed?
Whatever you want. I think they're just interested in whatever you would. What would you like to see?
The smallest change I think I would like would be, and I'm on Distant Worlds 2, so it's particularly relevant for me at the moment, is I would want to see a temperature gauge and or the scanner screen on the FSS scanner screen.
You have to be careful with that one. You nearly said FFS, yeah?
I would deliberately, yeah. So I think I would deliberately, that would be the small thing I would want, just a temperature gauge and stuff on it.
That could be handy, yeah.
Talking about the FSS as well, is I would want the mouse to act as a pointer, not a controller.
Yes.
So I could move my mouse around the points on the screen and point and click, rather than having to screen a camera. Medium things, NPC crew that don't get blown up when your ship gets destroyed.
Yeah. It doesn't, as we've said earlier on, that doesn't really make much logical sense anyway, so.
Small things. Another small thing I would like would be an Imperial explorer ship, Gutamaya version of a crate or an Anaconda, because I really like the Gutamaya looking ships, and all the exploration ships we have at the moment look like some kind of student's bedroom from the inside. They're not.
Yeah.
And I think the big things are, of course, I would want a fully functional space legs, not just a placeholder. Almost another MMO style game of space legs, and that's really, really almost impossible big.
Yeah, big ask. It'd be nice, though, wouldn't it? Dream game. For me, it would be. I don't know if it would be a smaller thing or a big thing, really, depending on how far that Frontier went with it. But I'd love to see ship-specific missions. So not just a case where you went to the mission board and it said, "Oh, you need to use a Sidewinder for this," or "You need to use a Python for this," but rather missions that literally physically require you to use a smaller ship due to the fact that maybe you need to get into one of those, into the interiors of one of those installations to complete the mission.
Yeah, we spoke about this on plug on the Lave Radio last night, as what features would you like in mission packs.
Yeah.
And I think having to use specific ships to achieve a mission in a mission pack would be a great addition.
Yeah, I think that would work really nice. It'd give a reason for people to go back to some of the other ships that they might not necessarily use now. Because
I mean, it would be great to have like a tricked out Cobra that you only got for that particular mission, for example. Test fly Jameson, the remodel of Jameson's Cobra or something like that, or simulate Jameson's mission to deliver the microwave virus, something like that. I think would be awesome.
Yeah, sounds like some really nice ideas. The bigger thing for me, which I can't ever see happening, would be more community orientated, and that would be going back to Frontier's live streams, having them play dev builds on the stream and literally showing content of what's coming up, even if it's concept screenshots or concept art. I'd love to see that sort of thing come up. But, that doesn't seem to be the direction they're going in, so probably a bit of a big ask.
that'd be
But,
good. And very quickly, one thing I think Stuart GT brought up was on the subject of crossplay, and I noticed there's a few comments on crossplay
yes.
in the chat.
Yeah, so I haven't got the quote to hand, but I think quite recently, Sony, one of the top guys at Sony, or at least PlayStation, said that they are open to crossplay, that they're not against the idea, and that all developers need to do is approach them, and they will sort it out, or they'll discuss it. Now, I know the last time, I can't remember if I brought that up here or it was brought up on the forums, but I saw some people say that the counter-argument to that is that a bunch of developers have approached Sony and they're still waiting on any form of response. But going off what Sony themselves have said, it does seem like they're open to the idea.
Potentially, yes. My suspicion is the game will need an awful lot of rework in order to get crossplay working. Not just the communication between the platforms bit, but there are a number of factors that sprung to mind when you mentioned it. The first one is the difference in controller methods, because, and I know you'll probably get hate mail for this, but in my experience, the PC has a superior control method to that of what consoles do. For example, mouse and keyboard or HOTAS are generally superior than controller.
Yeah, and that's the same for many games, not just Elite.
So if it's then crossplay, if you then have console players in open, will they then become easy meat for the players who play mouse and keyboard or HOTAS, for example? And there's nothing they can do about it because fundamentally the controller isn't as isn't there as much. And also the advantage PC players have is voice attack. So you can do voice attack macros to do all sorts of stuff that the console player doesn't have access to.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that would need to be thought about. The other thing is in the question of instancing, because trying to get more than about 15, 20 people in an instance is painful at the moment. If you then try and have the difficulty and complexity of getting console players in the same instance as you, does that add another layer of complexity and hassle into getting them in?
Yeah.
I don't know, just asking the question.
Yeah, it could do. Going on to the control method there, Stuart's just pointing out on Twitch there that both consoles do have HOTAS support, but whilst they do have HOTAS support, I'd kind of side with you on that it's limited selection. You've got basically one or two HOTASes that you could use and not the wide range of preferals that you've got.
You're limited to the HOTAS you can use on them. I'm not saying they're poor.
No.
But I believe you use a Warthog, don't you?
Yeah.
Use a Warthog, don't you?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
So the ability that you've got in your Warthog is, I would argue, superior to the PS4 HOTAS.
Yeah, quite probably. And whilst they do both support mouse and keyboard, but that would be down on Frontier implementing the support, wouldn't it?
Well, that's right. You also, because in a way, one of the beauties of consoles is the it's generally, one of the beauties of consoles is that pretty much every console player has the same hardware.
Yep.
So it means they can tune the game to the same hardware. They can do that. Yeah, so it's a level platform. Yes, there's HOTAS support and stuff for it, but what I wouldn't want to see is I wouldn't want to see players who couldn't afford the HOTAS or didn't want to buy a HOTAS be significantly disadvantaged. Yeah. I think that would be a bit mean.
Another thing Stuart again just mentioning there, I didn't know this, I think it's a really nice option, is both Fortnite and Rocket League, which are both cross-played based games, they have an option where you can enable or disable cross-play. So if you don't want it, you're not stuck to it.
Yeah, I haven't played Rocket League, unfortunately, but I have played Bridge Crew with PS4.
Yeah, that was cross-play as well, isn't it?
That's cross-play. I don't know. Why not? We're not saying don't do it, but I'm just saying there may well be considerations that aren't immediately apparent.
Yep. Well, okay, I think that pretty much brings us to the end of that segment there. I just want to thank you very much for coming on. It's been a really great conversation there, and I think a lot of people have enjoyed it by the looks of it. So it's nice to have you
Thank
on.
you for asking.
Oh, thank you. I'd like you to come back at some point as well if you'll be up for that.
I would be, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right then. Well, I'll catch you again soon. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, thanks for having us, and
Thanks a
thanks
lot.
for listening.
Yep, just so everyone knows, that's Shan from Lave Radio. Do have a look. I'll make sure that you can find their both their website and their Twitch channel as well. Thank you. I'll catch you soon, Shan.
Thanks.
Cheers. Okay, so I hope everyone enjoyed that. Shan's always a really great guy to talk with. Some fantastic insights into, well, not just Elite, but pretty much anything. Always really, really nice talking with him. So hopefully you've all enjoyed that as well. And looking at the way chat has been and the viewer numbers here, I think you all have. So it'd be nice to have him back again at some point. Meanwhile, I've been jumping along here, travelling along, and we've got right up to the destination that we was aiming towards. I wasn't expecting to make it here in this live stream, so we'll stream a little bit longer. Let's have a look there. Just a couple of comments there. Nice to see all the comments there for the people that enjoyed that segment. It was brilliant. Do you normally do interviews, conversations? So I don't normally do interviews and conversations. It's been a new thing for me here on this stream. I have done it with Yamix and the other guys when I did the round table, but I haven't been able to make it to the round table for quite a while. So I thought I'd try and bring some of that over here. So yeah, I think it's going to be an ongoing thing. Maybe not weekly, but once or twice a month I'd like to try and do it. Last week we had a few people on. So yeah, if you guys think it's a interesting thing, well, keep going. Keep doing it. Nice to see you all enjoyed it. And yeah, as I was saying, we're here in this planetary nebula. It's nice looking at this from the outside. I actually wanted to see if there's a landable planet on it here before we go inside there, because looking at these sort of things from a landable body is usually pretty nice, looking up and seeing these big nebula on the horizon. So let's just spend a couple of minutes seeing if we can find a landable body here. Probably not going to be that one. Is this one landable? Or is this got no details on this? What's going on? Give me some details. Atmosphere type, carbon dioxide. I thought that was not going to be a landable one. I just want to see if we can get some interesting visuals before we get to the very end of the stream here. We've got a few more minutes left, so let's see if we can land down there. So I do know that quite a few of you were addressing questions and chat directly to me and Shan during the thing, and we tried to pick up on a few of that during our conversation, but it's sometimes quite difficult because it's nice to keep the flow of the conversation going. So yeah, I'm back with the chat now, so I was paying attention to it, of course, during the conversation, but it's much easier to talk directly to you at the moment. Gerard, I don't actually know what's happened to Exidius, unfortunately. I haven't heard from him for a little while. Perhaps I'll try and reach out, but I do know he hasn't done any videos for a while. Will they ever release any more paint options, do I think? So I think they're always releasing paint options. I do think some of them are perhaps on the more simplistic side than they could otherwise be. Don't look like there's any landable planets here, unfortunately. I haven't tried Dual Universe yet, James, but I do want to try it. So we're going to see what happens there. There's a bunch of space games that I actually want to try, but I haven't had a chance to just yet. So yeah, thanks for that suggestion there, Stuart. Stuart GT over on Twitch and Twitch chat is just asking Chat, what guests would you like to see on the show in the future? What would you like on the streams? If I can bring other guests on, who would you like to see? I can try and reach out to pretty much anyone you'd like to suggest, I'd imagine. If there's anyone you'd like to have me talk to or come on and have a chat with, just let me know. That's the last one, so doesn't look like anything landable there, unfortunately, so let's go in there. Yamix is cool, Tommy. I've been on plenty of streams with Yamix, so... Chris Hadfield, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Elon Musk, come on, we've got to be reasonable here. That's perhaps one of the more reasonable ones there. Trey Scott Manley, I'd love to have him on. I'm not sure whether or not he'd be up for it, but... David Braben. Maybe. Right, let's... Thank you for the warning there, Digi. White Dwarf Cone, welcome you on the entering. So, I will zero my throttle once I'm in hyperspace. Jingles. Do you mean the mighty Jingles? Yeah, we're all right. We didn't crash straight into the star there. That would be a shame. Mighty Jingles, yeah, I love his videos. Right, how many planets have we got here? 36. Was that 36? Heck of a lot. Moralius, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong there. Hello there. We've just arrived in a planetary nebula here, and I did want to go over to a couple of these planets, but first mapped by, I love the name. 60,000 light seconds away. I don't think we'll be heading in that direction today, but maybe I'll leave the ship flying there and we can have a look at that at the start of the next stream. But we made it into the planetary nebula anyway. Massive starfield here, look at that. I think that is a pretty good place to leave it today. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. And thank you very much for everyone coming by. I do want to give a few shout outs before I head off. Thank you to Raptor, Duchess Elysium, Melvin Brannan, Joe David twice there. Thank you very, very much. It's not actually showing up here. I think it was Corpse who become a YouTube member as well, Corpse a lot. So thank you very, very much for that as well. Also, Dr. Grand Reefer, thank you. And McCaddy, as well as Corpse a lot as well. And thank you very, very much, McCaddy. That was very much appreciated. Right, so for people over on Twitch, we're going to go raid someone. Just give me a few seconds and we go find someone to raid. Right, so yeah, thank you everyone again. I hope you enjoyed the stream. It was really nice having Shan on. I want to thank him again. I'm sure he might be listening in the background there, so my thanks to Shan. And we're going to go raid Highway Warrior. Oh, Trey, thank you very, very much. That was a pleasure. You're welcome. Thank you very much for helping out with the moderation, of course, as always. It's very, very much a big help. So, yeah, we're going to go raid Highway Warrior over on Twitch. Now, something a little bit different going on here. This is a fuel rat rescue of someone who's out in the depths of space and has been stranded for a very, very long time. Pretty big deal, because this has been spoken about in the gaming press. Kotaku have got a massive article going up, and I think there's something like 1,300 people watching the last time I took a lot. So we're gonna go raid Highway Warrior right now. So again, thank you very much. Catch you all soon.